Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this episode of ProAMT Traders Digest. Let me go through the disclaimer first. Trading in stocks derivatives involves substantial risk of loss and not suitable for all investors. Past or simulated performance is not a guarantee of future results. All systems, indicators, strategies shown here are for education purpose only. All levels discussed here are for understanding the study and not a recommendation to trade. Please consult your personal financial advisor before making any investment or trade decision based on anything that is discussed here. We will not be responsible for any resulting profits or losses. So let's have a look at what Nifty did. We had expected if opens gap up, then look above the high and fail, come back into this to repair this and then go higher. But that didn't happen. If we can see, let's zoom in. Opened gap up, tried to push into this previous week's high, instantly failed and started a move up, a short covering move, and then again broke out of that short covering, was getting compressed 1 2 3 4 and 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6 brackets traded in a compression, and the sixth bracket broke out. So anomaly here, a very prominent POC, and then one time framing up, continued higher till the last hour of the day, and finally settled into the upper balance. If you can see, this is a clean minor micro composite balance. Now let's have a look at what happened at the open. So opens, goes up, and if you can see, first dip in order flow when it hit a high and instantly bought in. Then continuously we have rising order flow. So even though the momentum was gone, went sideways. If you can see, till here, making almost a channel move down, and then breaks out. After breaking out, if you can see, this order flow was, let me draw it again. So these were the highs and these lows. So a parallel channel, a breakout, again a channel, and again a breakout. And that time, if you can see this, the order flow is when the price is coming down, the order flow was rising, and this is another sign that it might break out. Now this first breakout brought in buyers. If you can see, these were the highest buyers here in the earlier period, and when this breaks out, you have a sign that sorry, it will tend to complete its objective. And we were discussing in the room that the objective would be 80, and if it's 8380, 8382 kind of zone, and then it was meeting the objective of the weekly projected high, and if it meets, and then again if it tries to break out, then the objective should be somewhere around 8394 kind of zone, 9294. So here it started a channel move up, and after breaking down, getting some negative prints into this, if you can see this negative prints coming in, and then again going up. So there were two breakdowns in the order flow. Here when the order flow breaks, the price is not breaking the channel, and again when the price gives a false break of this channel, the order flow instantly picks up. So that was a sign, and here the price breaks, and if we can see, finally the order flow breaks down here. So overall, trending day, very bullish day with the VWAP placed at 8364 and the day mid at 8361. Leaving behind naked POC during the day, because that's a sign of trending that it doesn't want to even come back to look at the POC, and the short term and intermediate term reversal both in the zone of 8308, 8310, and I would give a long term reversal also. I would keep it in within this gap. So like here to here, I think if it wants to hold on, it will not breach these levels, and otherwise it might go into a long term reversal as well. So overall a bullish day with one time framing post this consolidation, and expecting this to, we'll see what had happened on the rotations and the profile, and figure out what can be the likely scenario. In VSA terms, if you see, there is constantly no supply in this fall. So in this fall, there is constantly no supply. The range is shortening when it's coming down and the volume dropping. Again, no demand, no supply, constantly going on. This first, it's a spike up, not a upthrust. One upthrust comes, but that upthrust is with huge positive order flow, with price not giving up. If you remember, I always keep on saying that the price, when it breaks out of the IB with a WRB, needs to come back, at least it needs to either come back 50% of that bar, or it needs to break the low of that bar. When it's if the low is above the IB, this is above the IB, another spike, again the low above the IB, so needs to break that to break the momentum to reverse the intraday trend. There's no point shorting this market. Rather, when you get no supply with higher highs, it's the time to buy again at the pivot break. So this pivot broken, you at the test of that pivot, we add the positions, and the next add is when you get no supply and a rising order flow. So again a rising order flow, and again you get a no supply, there is another add here, and there was a channel move, so it's taking support of the channel with no supplies. There is no point selling this market. Now let's have a look at the 15 minutes. Let's see what the delta was doing. This is the delta gets created. This is an automatic feature of investor RT, delta dots, and this gets created at every tick. If I zoom in, this is like these ticks were empty. Nifty is not traded, and if I Nifty is not traded at every tick, and if I change the tick size to 1, we'll be able to see the aggregated ticks, but I don't want to see that, because when it's compressed with the price momentum, we can make out what is happening in that order flow, and we have these bars also. So buyers coming into this break, a minor break with the seller buyers getting stuck at the highs, and that's why we get a negative order flow, but not even retracing 50% of this bar. Then coming back into this lows. So coming back into this tail where the buyers got stuck earlier. Now our reference should be where there was price negotiation in term of order flow as well as price congestion. So that congestion zone is here. You can see negative as well as positive prints. So when it starts entering here, we think of selling this, otherwise not. And also it might test this due to day mid being here. Now the day mid starts rising post this breakout. If you see a nice, when you merge this, a nice triangle forming here, and breaks out of the triangle with a indecisive bar, doji, and break of that bar, sellers initially coming in, but this delta is with momentum, so a positive range extension with momentum rising even though delta is negative. So this is a lesson to learn regarding order flow. Delta negative does not mean sellers. These would be orders which they want to sell. They are waiting. If this high breaks, we want to sell, or we want to sell higher into the rise, or there are people who would have bought yesterday and they think that this is a fair price to book out. So they are exiting, and in the momentum they are exiting. If they are exiting in the momentum, they are not sellers. So we have to consider the price momentum as well. Now let's see what it did later. Overall, again, buyers stepping in. Now buyers step in here and the price goes down. So these are stuck buyers. So order flow goes a bit negative, and this, in this bar, it goes like completely negative. And again, buyers stepping in slowly, and pushing it up. Finally, some good sellers show up with the momentum decreasing and finally settling into the upper balance. So entire volume is created into this zone. An important reference for tomorrow, today, one would be this balancing zone, and the other would be the low of this, the low of the doji, and there is the place from where this momentum started. So let's go back there. So this is a doji which we were looking at, and now let's shrink this chart. This is where the momentum started from. So this is very important for tomorrow, for today, and it's also the fairest price in terms of volume. So 8348 is a important level. We'll look how the price behaves there and take a call. Now let's look at the rotations and the likely scenario, the hypothesis for today. So overall, just after this bit of congestion, all trending rotations, impulse does not even retrace back 50%. Another impulse goes sideways, and the final impulse. So overall, a trending move, nothing much to see in a 60 tick Renko. When these things are happening, to take a position, I need a pullback, and for that I want to see how it's doing on the 30 ticks. So what I did is this breaks out, creates an impulse, waited, nothing happened, and as soon as the order flow pushed up into this, then again I created a long, thinking that okay, now 80 is achievable, so I'll be able to get 16. Now after post that, a channel move up, but I got out into this rise, and there I was seeing that the momentum in the delta was fading a bit. So I thought better to get out than to repent. Again a sideways move, again push into this. So here when this happened, again I tried to create a long, but I thought that this might not work, so scratched it in just I think 2.2 points or something. So now let's see what is the likely scenario for today. Let's move it. So okay, let's zoom in a bit. Okay. So in case this is upper reference, and in case we open gap up, come back into this, either to come back and test and continue its move up into the 440 zone. Important reference on the micro composite profile. So a likely scenario that we go there. If fails to stay above the range, then try to push down first into the fair price of this. And because there is a lot of volume here, there is a HVN, might push down into the HVN and just test here and reject, and then start rotating into the upper range. And if it fails, then continue its move down into this LVN. So that is the first likely scenario. The second likely scenario is it opens directly into this range. It opens at the settle, tries to push back into the HVN, fails, comes back down into the volume POC, which is 8348, pushes down a bit, fails, starts its move up in a impulsive manner, and finally reach towards the highs of the day, which is around 8,400. And then if it manages to push up again, we continue with the hypo one. If it pushes up above that, so that scenario comes into play. And here, if it's not able to reject instantly, then rotate here and maybe either rotate into this zone or rotate up into the day mid, a day time frame reference, and fail and continue its move down into the gap zone. So that is the second likely scenario. The third likely scenario can be like because if we have it's not this doing this digest is not for giving the trade levels. It is just understanding the concept of auction market theory and just getting a hang of it. What can be the behavior of a orderly auction? It can depending upon the open. So we build the scenario depending upon the open and looking at the previous day's action. Suppose if the open is somewhere not where we preempted, then we have to change the analysis accordingly, because suppose in this case it opens directly here. Now my both my hypos do not have that situation in consideration. So if it opens here, what I would instantly do is look at the strength of the rotation of the swing. Suppose in the opening swing it goes into this. Does it reject there and come back and make a low which is higher than the open? Or does it push through this, comes and makes a low at that place? So that would give me a clue what it wants to do. In case opens and pushes down into this high volume node, and then again pulls back up, makes a lower high than the open, starts going down, I would think that this scenario is in play and can go and break into the gap. So depending upon the open, the likely scenarios, we can connect the dots, like the two major scenarios of up and down in the first open and two major scenarios of the second open type we can preempt. Then depending upon the open, the location of the open, we can decide what can be the likely scenario during the day. So in the first initial minutes of the open, when the opening swing is established, then I decide what has to be done. Now let's have a look at Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty gap up above our reference and then continuously one time framing up, making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. When it reached here, I thought that it will push up, reject, and come back to repair this zone. That didn't happen, and continued going higher. And from here, the buyers exhausted. They were losing their control. They exhausted inside bar, and finally a breakdown into this very visual reference, very mechanical. So need to see how it develops today, because very elongated and a stretched profile, no value at all anywhere, with a bit of a prominent POC at 18,855. Now let's have a look at the 3-minute chart. A channeled trending move, nothing to look about. The order flow goes negative once, huge negative, does not find any consensus. Completely no demand, no supply congestion, breaks out and then goes for a kill. These are the times when you don't want to ever think of selling this market. Because there is no consensus at all in breaking even the previous swing low. Higher highs, higher lows in the least time frame, and we don't want to get into a trouble of selling this and losing our skin. Spikes getting in buying volume. So all the spikes are getting in buying volume, apart from this spike where a huge sell order comes but gets negated because this forms a balance there. And so taking support of that balance within this spike and these sell orders. So again a sign of strong hand buyers. We don't want to sell that market at all, come what may. Again, so a lot of spikes, a very awkward situation for BNF, creating huge volume, 4.71 million during the day. So a rise with huge volume. Now this can be also the sellers might have already started getting active into this balance, because order flow all of a sudden going down, with the momentum not fading and touching the highs. So the sellers might have entered here, and tomorrow we need to pay attention to this micro balance. Similar scenario on the 15 minutes. Continuously going up. Whenever a mild selling comes, gets bought into big time, and once it gets bought into, that low is never broken. So in the end, this due to that this low break, I was thinking that there are sellers getting active there. Let's go to the Renko and see the rotations. There won't be anything apart from a trend. So a huge trend. No pullback apart from this sideways move. No pullback at all. Going and closing all these naked point of controls. So a big break out of this balance, and going up higher. Now we have 3 distributions on the volume. So one distribution, 2 and 3 distributions on the volume, and a minor distribution with HVN. So this HVN, we see this HVN, we see this HVN, and we see this HVN for tomorrow. For today, I'm again and again forgetting. I always keep on thinking that I'm doing the video previous day, and so these are important references, and also all are the mostly the points just before it broke out for a newer high. Now, what can be the likely scenario? Too difficult to guess on such after such days. Now, in case it opens gap up, comes back into this balance, does not accept here, push into this 19050, or maybe this is a volume POC of this contract. It can also get negated between 19k and 19050, because that was an important zone on the micro composite profile. Or else it can push here and reject and come into this range. If it starts accepting into this, then push back down into the low volume node first, and then decide what it wants to do. Maybe create a balance here and then decide either break up higher again into this upper balance or break down into the lower balance. So that can be the first scenario. The second scenario is, in case it opens inside the range, comes down to check into this low volume node, does not find anything, goes back up. If it finds consensus, that then start its move down with a bit of rotation around the day mid, protecting this HVN, and then trying to decide what it wants to do later, either break down into the HVN, or so if it does this move, entire repair might happen, or it might want to balance higher and then take 2 or 3 days to repair, or that does not repair and goes with hypo 1 of a rise into this zone. So two likely scenarios in case of a higher open into the range or a gap up open. If it opens gap down from the close, if it opens into this node, we'll need to again decide either this would be in play or this would be in play and then take over hypo 1. So that would be the third scenario. So I think that's it for today, and we'll see you all during the live session. And thanks a lot for taking your time to watch this. Do hit a like button if you enjoy this broadcast. Thanks again, and have a profitable trading day ahead.